This video is describing the GroupLink object, which is a new object which is placed underneath an input, and what it does is it connects that input to another group object, usually on an output, and this provides the ability to use a quick view window on the part sensor screen like we're showing here. So in this configuration we've got thermocouples and vacuum probes as inputs, but you'll see over here there's also vacuum sources which are being monitored by transmitters, and in this case we would normally have a part attachment which would be a part thermocouple, a vacuum probe, and a vacuum source, although the vacuum source would be an output. And so in the configuration here you'll see under inputs and outputs, the inputs would obviously, I'm going to scan down to the part thermocouple. The part thermocouple has a group object, and we would expect then the vacuum probes, the normal vacuum VPRBs, to have a group object, right? I'm going to click here. Yeah, there it goes. That's got a group object. However, because the vacuum source also has a group object, we really don't want to have another group object for the input called vacuum source, because then you'd have basically two attachment points for the operator to select. Okay, so what we do in this case, because the vacuum source transmitters are going to be selected when the output is selected, we also want to be able to click on that vacuum source and see part information. And the way that that's done is a new object called a GroupLink object. So if we scan down to the vacuum source inputs, what you'll find is that instead of a group object being below there, we have a new object called GroupLink. And all the GroupLink object does is it connects that input to the group object on the output. And what that does then is it provides the ability to view. In this case, if I click on vacuum source 1, I'm going to see part information from the vacuum source object, which is the output object. And so that's a new, the GroupLink is this new object that merely provides that capability, so that when you click on it, when the operator clicks on it, he's actually getting information from another object, and it also inherits the actions of that object. So even though I'm clicking on a probe, I'm going to get vacuum actions, vac off vent here for that vacuum source, because in essence what it thinks you're doing is clicking on the actual vacuum output object, the vacuum source object. So that's a video on the new GroupLink object.